Hello! It is I, Dr. Brian Lorgun 111, and welcome back to Void Stranger, where, once again, I'm continuing with my laundry list of things that I want to try in this game. So, this will probably be me just kind of stitching together a bunch of clips, but one thing that I've already demonstrated, but I'm doing so again right now as a reminder, is the fact that with Sif, there is no longer a Void Court. 0 has left. B is missing. Sif is being played as the player character, which means, for example, you can steal as many locust idols out of the same chest as you want, so long as you quit in between each thing. So, that gave me the crazy idea. What else sends you to court? Well, I discovered that if you go and manually try to edit your save file data to change what room you're in, you get sent to court. So what happens if Sif tries to manually edit what room he's in? Let's find out. Interesting. It seems like it didn't change me at all. Yeah, I tried making a different edit and it did the same thing. It just set me right back and it just replaces the save file with what I originally had. It is the case that there are like 2 backup copies of save files also in the Void Stranger file directory where it stores your data. So I guess I could try editing all of them. I should probably really make a backup in case I'm going to actually break something at this point. Alright, and it turns out that there might be like a checksum, or I'm not sure exactly, but not all the save file backups like even have the same file format. So it was not as easy to do what I was trying to do as I thought it might be. I was really prepared to be astonished for whatever was going to happen here, because if you could change Sif's basement floor like willy-nilly, you could put Sif on floors that he's not supposed to be on, I imagine. Like, I imagine Sif can't go to Dis, and so you could put him in Dis, or like in the B boss battle, or like all kinds of things where it just kind of wouldn't make sense. And so I guess they couldn't guard against that, and they couldn't send you to court, and so they basically just made it so that if they detect you messing with the save file, they just put the world back into the state that it used to be, and it's almost like you never did it. So I don't know that I'm astonished by that. I was really kind of expecting something more different, but that one's really hard to deal with. So that is fine. Okay, so that's the first thing on my list. What else we got? There's some stuff in Sif's ending, rescuing B, that I want to show off, or at least try stuff out with, but I'm not sure that we've ever witnessed Sif getting here and Tail already being dead, so I just wanted to show that on camera. And I was just using it as a shortcut, but I wonder if Sif has anything to say when he goes into Lev's basement and discovers nothing here. It's empty. It's really, really empty. But now that you take a closer look, it looks like the chest has been forcibly opened at some point. Alright, Sif has no commentary on these events. That's fine. So after 3 or 4 minutes of farming chests in this room, I am up to 99 locust idols. When Sif meets Mon, and they have a discussion, Mon said something. Sif was asking about Mon's plan, and Mon said, you know, maybe if you fork over your locust idols, I might tell you. And Sif says, I'd rather beat it out of you or something. I wonder if I had 99 locust idols, if Sif would actually, like, pay for more information. So I've decided to come back down here and try to check that out. Okay, you can't destroy those with your sword in this phase. So I have to get to where I can swing at Mon. He's right next to me right now. I have to be facing him. And right now he's gone over to the left. And I hadn't thought about, like, parity. This'll work. There we go. Okay, so Mon has had his little face shield cut off. Found you, finally. Chi-chi-chi! Watch where you swing that pocket knife of yours. Someone might get hurt. Mon, so it is you. My, you look like you've seen a ghost. Where have you been all this time? How'd you manage to hide your presence from Dis? Frankly, that's none of your business. But considering my cover is blown, I could tell you, for a price, of course. Alright, I have 99 locust idols. Does this change this dialogue? No thanks. I'll beat the answers out of you instead. Alright, that's fine. um, I was just wondering if having 99 locust idols would change any of this dialogue. And I think, like, I didn't enjoy this boss battle all that much the first time I played it, but after seeing it a few times, like, I think it's kind of fine, so I'm just going to try to wing it on camera. I bet I could do it in 1 or 2 attempts. But basically, yeah, we need to avoid the big laser when it happens. And we want to try to hit the head. And you can hit parts of the body in order to kind of stall and still be facing where the head would be. You only have to hit the head 4 times, I think, in order to win the battle. Oh, I just killed myself. Sure, we'll go with that same kind of set of opening moves, so that seems plausible. And so you can kind of just try to find ways that don't get you into too much trouble. I am dead here because if I go south, the head's going to shoot me, and if I go north, the laser's going to get me. Unless I can go north far enough to get away from the laser, I can go north far enough to get away from the laser. So let's do that, and let's bait the front of the centipede to come up here. And I do see the explodey thingies, but they're not exploding this turn, they're exploding this turn, that's fine. Okay, and now I want to get over to where I'll be able to get another hit in, and I didn't quite do it fast enough here, so that's a shame. And I don't know that there's much I can do about that. So I really just want to continue baiting him around, I think. That's actually pretty good. Okay, come back down this way, so I'll have a chance to get at some segments of the body here at some point. Ooh, I gotta go up this way. Okay, so I can't sit here long enough to stall because I didn't lead the head far enough away. Okay, so it turns out that this is not going to be as easy to just wing it as I thought, maybe. Alright, let's try a different set of opening moves. This is not a great start. Can I get a hit in here? I don't think I can. Yeah, I can't. Alright, why don't you come to the north? Okay, I will be able to get a hit over here. Ah, except for I screwed it up. Okay, I will save you from having to watch me being bad at this battle. Okay, I changed my mind. It's the worst boss battle in the history of design. If the centipede were 1 shorter, or if the arena were bigger, like they're constrained by like the grid size of the game or whatever, like I think in principle it's not a bad boss design, but in practice the execution, like the arena is just a little bit too slow, or a little bit too small, or the centipede is a little bit too long. I kept struggling to do it. But I eventually got it. My eyes, my brilliant eyes, blame your fate. Now, if you want a quick, merciful end, speak. What are you would live after? So you finally figured it out. Do with me as you please, but know this. The true Lord of the Void will one day return. And those who oppose them will come to regret their very existence. Forgive me, dear sister, Lev. I have failed you. Alright. So... Another thing that I realized in the previous episode, I think, we saw Lily's ending where she goes back to the grave with Gray, and I managed to see more dialogue, and I realized I don't think it's story progression. I think it's button mashing that allows you to see more text in those scenes just before Gray hugs Lily, and similarly in what we're about to see in the ending here, just before Sif hugs Bee. The character is kind of monologuing or whatever, and the hug happens at a moment in time that syncs up with a place to stop the music. And so there's like a cycle in the music. And so if you're mashing through the text, you get to see more of the dialogue before the music syncs up in order to end things. So I'm going to mash through B's text here at the end, and we'll just be able to see more of it on the screen. And I realize I can start talking about this now because it's kind of a long cutscene even to get that far. But Sif goes and rescues B in this ending off of the beach. This time I know that Sif is on the right and B is on the left because I'm much more familiar with these characters at this point. Yeah. And I'm still not sure exactly how B is here. It's also in the upper left of the beach. Like, there's a little bit of sand that has a different outline than the rest that I never noticed. I don't think it's important. Actually, it's just the overlapping of two different purple color sections. Alright, so in any case, Sis, I was so afraid. Get a hold of yourself. You don't understand. I saw Ad after all these years, but then that's not possible. Ad's dead. No. Alright, no. This must be a trick. That mortal. It must have been their work. B, I'll find them, and then I'll crush them, mangle them, shred them, tear them limb by limb, grind their bones, splice their organs, something, something. And then the hug. So there was more text on the screen there. And I guess there actually isn't music playing there, so I think it's just like a time-based kind of thing after you start B's rant. That Sif finally goes in for the hug. I'm so glad you're okay. Never scare me like that ever again, okay? And I feel like the music is slightly different than I remember. I'm probably just misremembering, though. Is everything alright, Sis? No, I think the music is different. I don't think it had the whistling in the background last time. And the reason I'm imagining that it might be different now in my head is that Use and Gore are dead in this timeline. And so maybe it's just the two of them, and so this time the music is a little bit more pensive. I'll go back and check. It could be the case that it's the same music track and I'm just misremembering. And another very dumb thing that I noticed that I'm going to point out in this ending. Alright. These two are back on their usual terms. Roll credits. In these credits, when it says a game by, there's like an extra period that's off to the side. Presented by System Erasure. Game by. There's a period over there to the right. It's like game by, space, 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 period. For some reason. I don't know. It's not a big deal. But I'm at the point of this game where I'm scrutinizing every pixel on the screen. Did I show... There's so much lore stuff that I still have to talk about. I don't know if I showed this, but in the post 255, if you walk around in the Strange Void and get to the head of Dr. Lily with a broken rock coming out of the upper right, and you can bang on it 6 times in order to reset the game, I'm probably putting a screenshot on the screen. If you zoom in on some of the pixels of her art, she has a bunch of flowers, which is just very appropriate for Dr. Lily. And just kind of like a way to like hide extra design content inside your pixel art. And yeah, this is the type of thing I do with my life at this point, because my life is only this game, apparently. So I hope you're enjoying seeing all of the detail and all of the care and love that went into like every pixel of every frame of the art of this game. So let me figure out what's next on my list of things to do. So I was watching someone's Twitch VOD when they came into the dev area. I was coming back here, and the NPC is no longer here. I guess they turned into 0 and disappeared or whatever at the end. So are they just not going to be here at all to talk to? And we could just kind of re-witness the content? Yep, that seems to be the case. Okay, that's fine. In any case, I got to the final room, or they got to the final room in this VOD that I was watching. And the person's Twitch chat said that there is a way to avoid the only a simple memory remains in the final room. And so I immediately stopped the video because I'm pretty sure that's not possible, but it's possible either that there's a hidden place to fall or another mechanic that I have not anticipated that needs to be played around with. And so I want to check that out on camera. And so I think it's just like 2 rooms away from here or something. But yeah, it feels more empty here when the developer isn't here to talk to you anymore, I'm noticing. And that, I don't know, I was not particularly moved by the developer's words. I know some other people were, just based on what I've seen from someone else's video and Twitch chat. But now I kind of am more, now the developer's not here anymore or whatever to talk to. But in the next room, here. So, we start out on a shadow shade summoning tile. And there's the exit. And it's below a Sif statue, which means if I go in the exit now, only a simple memory remains. If I try to use my wings, my shade will be following me and kill me. However, it occurs to me that there's a few things that I could still try to do that I haven't played around with. Let's see, I've got 6 locust titles, so I can afford to spend a couple of lives. Suppose I fly down here, pick up my hit points, and now die. I think I'm maybe going to take like a double death, because I will die from falling here, and then also the game won't have any hit points loaded, and so I think I'll immediately die again because I have no hit points, and maybe that's going to do something interesting. But let's just try it out. I did not immediately die again. Okay, so that is now out the door. Another thing that I have thought of is it's still possible to pick up this. This usually crashes the game. But let's go ahead and find out. So yeah, that crashed the game, and when I reload, I'm just back in the same spot. So what else could I do here? Someone, I mean, I don't know if this person's reliable, but someone in the Twitch chat said that there is a way to not get simple memory remains in this room. I don't have all the possible tools right now. Like, if I had the improved rod, like I might be able to pick up more tiles. So that's something I haven't really thought through. And I'm sure, like, I tried just like having like the shade fall here, for example, and that just kills me, right? And then it's just gonna reset the room. Yeah. There's a very finite number of things I can do. Like, I could choose to like die in different directions and see if like if you fall in this square, maybe like there's something special there. Or if you fall in this square, maybe there's something special over here. Is there any reason? Like, I don't think that there's any other mechanical, obvious, typical gameplay stuff that I can do to make the exit not appear in front of the Sif statue. What happens if we've fallen from here? Is Lev still in the void? You've fallen. And yeah, Lev's still here. What am I not thinking of? I'm back here again. What happens if I do this? It's usually the case that like the player moves first, but also your shades kind of like move in the same step with the player. So do you successfully get to the exit here, or does the shade die first, or what happens? That is it. Oh, this is hilarious. So, another thing that I had on my to-do list, there's, I don't know if you'd call it like spoilery content in the trailers, but there's like secrets and kind of spoilers in the trailers. I hadn't really watched the game trailers at all carefully until yesterday, the day before. Might have been a few days ago now, I'm losing track. But someone else that I've been watching on stream had watched the game trailers, and there was endless despair. There was a brand in the trailers that they had not used, and if you create that brand, and like fall into the hole. It also brings you to this puzzle, so there's multiple ways to get here. I am not going to solve this puzzle. It's another one of the jigsaw puzzles that I enjoy so much. Ha ha ha. I like jigsaw puzzles in real life. I don't like jigsaw puzzles in this game engine because you can fall. It's not as bad when you have the wings, but it's still bad. In any case, if one were to solve this puzzle, you would be rewarded with a picture of a busty Void Lord bee in a bunny costume that says, "No way!" Scrolling a couple ways across the text or something. It's kind of silly and ridiculous, and also this music is silly and ridiculous. There might be some kind of referential humor going on here that I'm not aware of. I was planning to show off the existence of this thing. I'm not going to solve the puzzle. And yeah, this was another thing on my to-do list, and so now I don't have to check it off that way, so I guess that's nice. But apparently there's two ways to get here, and the other way is to take the exit out of the final room of the dev room. And so now I know. Is there anything else clever I could do from here? I can't really think of anything. So yeah, I think it's time to move on in other directions. So let's switch gears and talk about some important lore stuff. There are two characters that we meet, mortals, on the various floors of the Void Tower that have freckles. Here is the first. This character appears in both Gray and Sif's story, but I recently discovered them in Gray's story, and here is the interesting bit. Have you seen my sister? She has short hair, and her eyes are the same color as yours. She can be a bit shy, so she's probably hiding somewhere. So I didn't know exactly what to think about this, and I thought about this being Gray or Rad somehow personified or something. But then it really, after I was going back and thinking about it, if we go to the other character with freckles, Ninny, we find her hiding somewhere, hiding between some rocks to get away from some monsters. She's definitely shy. She's got short hair. It fits perfectly. These are two sisters who are looking for one another. And the most important moment when interacting with any NPC character is when the music changes during the talking scene of the dialogue. In the case of the first character, it's during the final scene with Sif. Sif had encountered this character on a bunch of different floors with some somewhat frustrating interactions, but then gets down to the final floor, and Sif all of a sudden kind of has a change of heart. Rather than being frustrated with this character, gives words of encouragement. Sif says, "Never stop searching. Never stop asking questions. Never give up. Then, in time, the answers will follow. The one you're searching for, they must be very important to you, right? They're surely waiting for you. Don't let them down." And it's after that interaction, when the music changes, that all of a sudden the character disappears, and Sif says, "Why did that memory return to me? Why now? Hang on, B," because Sif is still searching for B. So we realize that this is something that's part of Sif's memory, something that happened at some point back in time, I suppose. So in any case, and then right after this is when Sif talks about the fact that Sif was a nickname or whatever, and was trying to discover their own name, and then actually has the dream of Sif's creation, creating all of the little entities that would become the Void Lords. And so that's kind of a big clue that, the character here is Ad. And if we switch back over to Ninny, the time when the music changes in her dialogue with Lily is the most telling line. "I envy you, Lily." Ninny is the envious one. Ninny is Lev. Lev has short hair, has a missing portion of their face. And yeah, is the sister that is looking for another sister. Ad and Lev are basically, in the final battle or whatever, the two sisters who are like vying for which future outcome should happen, kind of like at the end of the story. Um, and so this ties back in. I've been having some discussions with some other folks to some other lore that I've gotten wrong and I need to correct now. So it was not too long ago that I first unlocked this photo of the scientists of Dis, and I spent some time identifying which scientist corresponded to which Void Lord, and was feeling good about the theory that I had in terms of aligning all of these, but it turns out I was a little bit wrong. And so, if we have the theory now that Ninny is Lev, which hairstyle looks closest to the hairstyle of Ninny's? Well, clearly it's the person at the very left edge, the one that we know as Dr. Lily. So if Dr. Lily is Lev, it makes sense because Dr. Lily is the one who has been communicating to us through rocks, trying to spur the player on in order to get the sequence of events that would finally cause Ad's final treasure to be unlocked and be able to get into the center of Dis, where Lev could try to fulfill Lev's plan of kind of usurping power and taking over the power of Dis. And it's also the case that in this weird post-Basement 255 version of Dr. Lily that has kind of like the rock egg thing breaking off of her head. And also, yeah, if you're looking carefully at this photo, you can see the flower kind of above one of her eyes, one of them's in her nose, and also at the top of her cleavage there's another little flower in the pixel art, by the way. But Dr. Lily's face is kind of melting off a little bit here at the mouth. And one of the things that we know about Lev from, for example, A Strange Creature, speaking was hard for Lev. And you can even see on Lev's statue here that Lev does not have a mouth in this picture. Thus, Ad gave all of them horns so that they could hear Lev speak. And indeed, when we finally meet Lev in kind of the final thing, Lev at first doesn't have a mouth and cannot speak until Lev ends up destroying Dudge Zero and taking his headphone helmet transmitter thing or whatever in order to convert Lev's own speech thoughts into something that we can hear. And so if we think about that in the context of Dr. Lily, well, in the Dr. Lily ending, we cannot actually see Dr. Lily's mouth. Dr. Lily is also wearing what one presumes is like some face mask to breathe in an atmosphere, but also something that's covering her mouth and face, and so perhaps she doesn't have a mouth to talk, and she needs some kind of transmitter wirelessly to communicate her speech to others, or at least that's what some computer or otherworldly intelligence might infer from seeing something like this. And so all of this preponderance of evidence leads me to believe that the actual identities of the Dis scientists in this photo, on the left, Dr. Lily is Lev, which then carries the implication that the tall man standing behind Ad is actually Use. And if Ad and Gray are somewhat the same character and we think back to Act 1, Ad and Use, they were more than friends. Use was a sinner. And back in Act 1, Gray, there was a long blonde-haired man in Act 1 that Gray ends up sinning with. Of course, Johann. And so it's just kind of another parallel of the story that kind of fits. And it's all just so intricately crafted and tightly wound together. I appreciate it so much as art, and I hope that some of you, dear viewers, can also appreciate it with me, because there's just these little drips and drabs of story elements that you can piece together through. I've got 120 hours of gameplay at this point, and so it's just been bit by bit hinted at all these things that if you really pay attention and put it all together, you can understand how all these pieces of the story fit together and how all these things do align and make sense. And while there are many puzzle games or other video games or whatever like that have some story associated with them that's kind of outside of the main action of the game, it is more rare to have one that I think is this well crafted. There was an entire world building session that the developers did here to put together this world of characters, and the characters are well developed, and every little hint, every aspect that you get really plays into that whole world that they've built up, and it really does fit together. And I appreciate that so much, and so that's why I've been spending so much time on this game. It's not the case that, everyone has to love it. Like, some people just want the gameplay and don't care for story, or some people, like, this is not an interesting work of art for them or whatever, but for whatever reason, this one really grabbed me. And so I appreciate the developers' dedication to what they've done here, and I just want to highlight it so that more of you might appreciate it as well. So that said, I think there's more things still to do on my checklist, but I think this is probably a good place to go ahead and call it a day for today. I'm going to say I hope, as always, that you all are having a great day, and I will see you again soon with more Void Stranger. For now, bye-bye.